It is 8 a.m. on May 19th. I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Board of Trustees meeting to order. Roll call for attendance, please.
All those in attendance, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
We have a full board.
All right. We're going to forego the Pledge of Allegiance because we are virtual, but I will ask for a moment of silence for prayer or meditation before the beginning of our meeting. All right. Let's start with announcements and correspondences. Mike Kostinsky, any announcements or correspondences?
Yeah, I had a correspondence from a lady named Becky. She was concerned about what's going on at Duncan's side. And what I've heard is it's going to be another subdivision, but Duncan's side, unless I'm wrong, is a property of the city of Kent. So I think it was annexed. So Mike, have you heard anything, or you know where I'm talking about, Duncan's side off of Howe Road?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything.
I have. The housing complex is not coming anymore. It's being developed by the Helmlings. Had bought that, and they're going to build 3 houses back there is what they're talking about. Their own personal houses
Oh, okay.
around the lake.
Okay, that's good.
There was a thought that it was going to be that, but that didn't go.
But John, that is Kent.
I'm not sure exactly on the map if that's Ken or not, but
I'm pretty sure it is.
but it's private property back there now, and they're just they bought it because Drew lives right next door to Duncan's side, and they bought the whole property. They're just cleaning it up to build houses back there for themselves.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other announcements, Mike?
I'm good.
All right. Sue, any announcements?
Oh, wait a minute, Nick. There's one more I should probably tell you. I met somebody that lives on Clearfield, and I talked to Dave about it already. He came up to the restaurant. We talked for about a half an hour, and he is one of the residents that's very concerned about the flooding back there. You know what I'm talking about off of Howe Road. And I did explain to him, and I talked to Dave, you know, with that new culvert pipe we're putting in with, in conjunction with the city of Talmadge, crossing Howe and all that. So if you get any phone calls, I talked to Dave. Dave's putting also another crossover and some new catch basins, which will hopefully alleviate some of those issues. But remember, we can't even bid on that project till July. So they were all concerned as to when it's going to start. So if we bid on it in July, I mean, in all reality, it might be end of August till, or maybe September before we actually start the project. And if Dave wants to talk more about it later, he can, but between Nancy Cap and Phil, his last name escapes me, they're going to let their residents know. And that, you know, as we get closer, I definitely think we should probably send out one of those cards like we did, just to keep our residents informed of what's going on.
Okay.
And ever since that cow pasture, they put that drainage in there, you know, thanks to a great citizen who spent his own money to do it. He says their flooding issues have alleviated. I mean, they're still getting some flooding, but it drains very quickly, not like where you could get your canoe out and go see your neighbor. So it's a lot better.
Good.
Just so
all right. Well,
know.
that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. All right. Sue, anything?
No.
All right. I do have 2 correspondences. One was from Maria Tani over on Duffield Road. Back there, her and her neighbor both have autistic children, and there is a lot of speeding happening on Duffield Road there. People are moving pretty quickly through there. She asked if the township would be willing to deploy signage on Duffield that says autistic children at play, caution, something to that matter. I know that we've done children at play signs in other locations, but they would ask for this because of their special circumstance there. Dave, is that something that our road department could get put out? You're on mute, Dave. You just muted yourself.
There you
go.
We could get some signs out, but I don't have like autistic children at play and shop. I don't know if they have them or not. I'd have to look.
Yeah, other neighboring communities have them. That's where they got the idea from. They're just worried about it because they're right on the bend there, and people come flying around the little curve there. And they're just, with her and the neighbor both having autistic children, they're just worried about people in that area. They want them to be aware.
Okay. I'll need the address, you know what I mean? Where they're at.
Yeah, I can send you the address, but I was just wondering if we were able to get some signs out, if I could let them know that we could do that.
I mean, I could get children to play signs up right away, but I couldn't, I'd have to wait a little bit for the autistic signs.
Okay.
I would think just children to play would probably be fine, wouldn't it?
I agree.
That's what I think. I mean.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. They contacted me about it, so I think they'd be happy with any type of signage there. And then that brings me to the second correspondence I've gotten. It started out on Facebook, and then I got a bunch of messages from people about it. Just seems to be a lot of speeding in the township, Roy. I don't know if we can try to do some more speed enforcement, but there was complaints on Klein, Sunnybrook, Selnick, Brookdale, and Malloy. So it's a whole list. I know that, we can't be everywhere at once.
No, I can't.
Staffing's an issue.
Yeah, I'll just be honest with you. I can't do that. I mean, we can give some of these areas kind of one at a time as we have extra resources available. So I don't want to say we're going to hit 6 areas all at once. I think what we'll do is kind of pick one at a time and try to give them some attention one at a time, and then maybe we can follow up with a speed trailer deployment. I'll just have to check with Sergeant Pettit to see what the list is now, because I know he keeps track of where the next deployment location is going to be. We may already have 1 or 2 locations that we're planning on deploying at. So that will take some time as well, because we normally try to keep that in a location for about a week at a time.
Okay.
So we could try to give some attention to some areas and kind of take those one at a time.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I think it's just a general statement that there's just a lot of speeding for some reason in the township recently.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Okay. So, all right. So those were the 2 correspondences that I received this week. Meeting guests. I don't think we officially have any meeting guests because you're going to speak in actual designated sections on the agenda today. So that will move us into meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Don't move.
And I will second that.
And these are the minutes from 5/5.
Correct.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right, I need a motion to accept the agenda for discussion.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Yeah, this is Dave Rivers.
All right. I have a couple changes to the agenda, John. Under administration, section 2, letter C is in Charles, will be in-person meetings. D is in David, will be internships, Kent State University. Under zoning and economic development, number 5 should be subdivision regulations, public information request. Six, under zoning, will be board request for demolition at 1435 Talmadge Road. And then number 7 will be board request for notice to reissue demolition for, let me pull the addresses, 3156 Congress Lake Road, 1203 Dora Lee Road, 1145 Howe Road, 1333 Talmadge Road.
Yeah, skip the 1333 Talmadge. I don't know why that's on there.
Okay, skip that
That's
one.
us.
All right.
Yeah, don't skip that one.
I just read what the attorney sent.
I know.
What was the Dora Lee was 1203?
Yeah, 1203.
And then 1145 Howe.
Okay.
11:45 or 35?
Mike, clarification.
1145.
Okay, thank you.
And that will be all the additions or changes to the agenda I have. Does anybody else have any additions or changes?
Looks good.
All right, hearing none. Roll call, John?
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
yes,
motion passed.
All right, purchase orders. I need a motion to accept purchase orders.
I'm gonna make a motion that I've reviewed the purchase orders and ready to accept them.
second,
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
yes,
motion passed.
All right, need a motion for warrants.
so move,
I'll second that.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
yes,
motion passed.
All right, public comments and questions. Sue, has anybody submitted to you any public comments or questions to be read into record today?
no,
Mike, anybody submit public comments or questions?
no, they have not.
All right, and I have not received any either. Safety concerns before we move into the agenda. Any safety concerns from departments? All right, hearing none, we'll move into the business portion of our meeting. Before we get into the police department, I'd like to move the agenda around just a little bit because we do have some guests on here so that they don't have to stay for the entire meeting. We'll try to help them out. Let's start with the Hamrick Enterprise Zone. So Mike Ladd, this will be yours. We'll start there, sir.
Yes, we're going to need trustee approval for the Hamrick Manufacturing Enterprise Zone Agreement. This was discussed at the 60% for 10 years with the trustees, and everybody was in agreement on that. Hamrick is going to be an asset to Brimfield Township, and we look forward to them building here. This is the building that will be behind Meyer. And we do have Talmadge here, developer Dan Dehoff, as well, Brad Earhart, and Brian Eby from Hamrick. I don't know if Brad or Brian, if you want to say anything.
I'm going to defer to Brian.
I'd be glad to. Thanks for inviting us to be on your meeting today. I'll just give you a real quick bird's eye view of what we do and who we are. Hamrick has been in business since 1975. We've been here in Suffield Township in the same location in a building that we've built onto 13 times. And so we're landlocked. We can't do anything else here. And we've had 7 years of just unprecedented growth. We did try to stay in Suffield, but because of our location to 224, which is a limited access highway, we couldn't get cut in for semis to turn around and things that we need. And the business park up at Maple Crest just offered us a perfect location to build our new building. We're going to be about 64,000 square feet, roughly 50,000 square feet of manufacturing and warehouse space, and a 13,000 square feet of offices. What we do is we build secondary packaging equipment. So anything that you might get that comes in a bottle, a semi-rigid container, from hand sanitizer to soda to mayonnaise to motor oil, and brands that like Kraft, Heinz, Spectrum, all the Spectracide brands, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, Pepsi, Coke, Coca-Cola, Miller Coors, you name it, from great big companies the size of that to companies as small as Great Lakes Brewing. We build machinery that packages whatever they have put in a bottle or a container. We put it in boxes for them. We build machinery that is around the world, as far away as Lagos, Nigeria, and Nanjing, China, to as close as Barberton and Canton at Superior Dairy, and Malco in Barberton and Lyons. So we have local presence and a global presence, and we're excited to move into Brimfield. I do have a rendering of the building if you'd like to see it. Nick, I don't know if I can share my screen, but
yeah, you should have the ability to screen share.
Okay. I have a, let's see, I'm going to share this screen and this picture. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is, that's the rendering of what the building will look like. It's being built by Campbell Construction, who have been fantastic to work with, and who helped us meet Dan and Bob DeHoff. And we've worked together as a great team already to get the land. And so we're really excited. This is a huge step for us. A company founded by two brothers in 1975, and we're on our third generation of being a family-owned business. We have about 50 employees, and we're looking forward to coming to Brimfield.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I like the color too, and that H is kind of cool.
Thank you.
Wow.
How soon are, once we get a motion passed here today, how soon are you looking to break ground on this project?
We're hopeful. The bank financing is all in place at this point. I have a meeting with the county commissioners at the end of the month for their approval. We're hopeful to break ground in June. With the delay in the supply chain right now, we ordered the building materials about 10 weeks ago, and we're still looking at September until we have all of the construction materials to actually build the building. So our hope is to probably move in and be on site working there by April of next year.
Okay, great. All right.
And I believe that we will be the first building in the new business park. Our lot is the lot number 7 behind Meyer.
Okay. That's great. No, I'm excited for this.
Thank you. We are too.
Yes, Dan, did you have something?
I just want to honestly just take a minute and thank everybody. This has been a collective effort from Mike and from all the trustees to actually Dick Mesner, who now obviously has moved on. I mean, we've worked on this project for a long time. So this shows you the good works that everybody has done in the past that has actually allowed us to even be on the dance floor with Hamrick to talk to them about their needs. I also just want to state that the major investment that we made and the investment that you guys made and the school made via the TIF, this is the result of it. More specifically, Hamrick had bad experiences on other sites that weren't ready for them. And obviously we put like $3.5 million just in grading alone on the industrial. That was a big push for us. But what that allowed us to do was to have a shovel ready site. So, Hamrick, obviously there's lifting and there's a contractor and there's pricing and all kinds of things we can't control. But at the end of the day, the site was ready for them, and it's got full utilities. It's wetland free. It also has a nice environment behind it with Brimfield, with Portage County, obviously the JED. So the stars have aligned for us in the back. And I just wanted to take a minute. I know we had, rezoning on this, and we had trees come down, and you guys all probably took some phone calls and some bullets. But the result is you guys are welcoming a cool company to the area that has nice employment with strong growth in the future. And I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you for everybody's previous help. I know lots of you guys have worked on this for years. And I just wanted to thank you. And obviously, Hamrick, welcome to town. We're excited about you. And there'll be some additional announcements and some neighbors, but you are correct. You are the first one in the park. So I'm excited to welcome you personally. And I just wanted to thank everybody for helping us get to this point.
Hey, Dan, I just wanted to let you know, we have not taken many bullets. I get more compliments on your development than any other one we've had in the area. And the biggest question I get from everybody is what's coming next? What's coming next? So believe me, there's been nothing but positive. I'm still holding out for that cheesecake factory, but whatever. Or a Texas Roadhouse. What do you think, Nick? Sue?
I'm looking for a microbrewery. If we can ever make that happen down here, that'd be amazing in Brimfield. But no, thank you so much, Dan, for all your hard work. There was a little pushback at first from some of our residents. They were a little concerned about what this is going to look like, and it's coming together great. I mean, that end of town is looking beautiful. The stores are great. I know my wife and I were shopping at Menards and Myers all the time. So we're very thankful for all the things that are coming in. And I'm excited to see business growth now, which means more new families and expanding our community and creating this great atmosphere that we have here in Brimfield.
Thanks. Again, I really do honestly appreciate everybody's help. And we have more things to come. And obviously we're working on Maple Crest West, which you'll learn more about. And I don't have Cheesecake Factory yet, Mike, but I have hopefully I'm talking to some actually pretty neat people, and a microbrew might be possible. But nonetheless, you're right. You guys have a great community. It's a strong area. It's a growing area. And hopefully it gets a stronger identity through these kind of moves. And again, I just wanted to take the minute, since I know it's I don't know if this is the right forum, but I just wanted to take honestly a minute to thank everybody for all their help to get to this point. And again, Hamrick, welcome to the area. We're so excited about your building. It is really neat. And I will agree, your contractor Campbell's is top shelf. So you got a great team there to execute your new build.
Hey, Nick, Dave Pine from Talmadge.
Yeah, hey, sir. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us today. It's really an honor and a privilege for Mike Springer and myself to be here. And I, too, as the chairman of the JED, welcome Hamrick to the area, but most important to the DeHoff family, how they invested in a site that used to be a golf course that we all loved to play and we hated to see go away. But I think this is just the opening of what's going to happen in the back of there. I know that we're working with other big developers or big people back there to develop back in there. So I think, Dan, with your input and your sticking with us, a lot of good things going to go on back there. And I personally wanted to thank Mike Ladd and Matt Springer. You guys in Brimfield are so lucky to have Mike. He's doing such a good job and communicates with Talmadge, and him and Matt get together all the time. And I think it's a real great asset for Brimfield to have Mike Ladd. He didn't pay me to say that either. I wasn't even going to join today until Matt Springer told me today that there's a meeting going on. But just thank to all the trustees for doing what you do out there. And I think it is a great thing. You can see just in Talmadge, that Ripley Farm development, we can't build houses quick enough in there. They put that up for sale and 32 homes sold in about 3 weeks. So it's just really developing fast there. And with the ODOT project coming at the I-76 interchange there, a lot of good things out there. So thank all.
Hey, Dave, how many homes are going to be there?
203 eventually.
Wow.
They were going to hope to do that in 5 years. They've put in phase 1, phase 2. Now they're up to phase 5 now, coming to us to talk. So it's really moving along quick. Doing well back there.
Can I say one thing that I just find interesting on this concept? So that project would not be developed if it wasn't for Maple Crest. Said differently, Portage County, Summit County working together. That's how that property got sewer. And obviously that's a partnership between the counties. That's a partnership between Brimfield and Talmadge. And I just find it interesting, this area working together collectively. In the past, people used to move where the businesses are, and now we see where businesses move where the people are. And obviously when you have growth, both residentially and multifamily, and you have workers available, businesses will relocate there. So I just wanted to say, this is so cool to watch all happen. So, and I agree, Mike Ladd and Matt Springer, Mike, we wouldn't be where we are with Hamrick if it wasn't for your involvement and everybody else's. But yeah, Mike's been great.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it from both of you. Thank you.
It's fascinating to me. I grew up in Brimfield. The Eby family has been in Brimfield since the early 1800s. In fact, the original enterprise zone agreement paperwork was, I noticed when I was filling it out, had a signature on it of Robert Eby, which is my cousin, who was a longtime township trustee. And so from a kid who used to go down 18 and it was farms on both sides, to see what it's become, you know, we had one street light in the middle of town. And I think my senior year of high school, they built McDonald's, and we thought that was really, we really had arrived. to see Brimfield now. And so we're really happy to, I'm certainly very happy to be coming back home and helping build our building there. So
As
thanks,
happy
Sid.
as we all are.
Well, thank
Well,
you
I
for
think we,
a little time, and thank you. You guys have an agenda, and I know it's a public meeting, but thanks for allowing us to have a little meet and greet and huddle up.
no, thank you for being here. And I say that we make this official at this point. So I would like to make a motion to accept the enterprise zone for Hamrick Manufacturing.
I will second that.
Either one's fine.
Okay, all those in
All right,
favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right.
We'll get
Welcome to
the
Brimfield.
Thank you.
final signature pages will be available today as well. So I'm not sure if Mike Ladd, you're giving those back to Brad or how that's all going, but they'll be available this morning.
Get together and then we'll get those shipped up to the county so we can get this completed. This will be, we'll be going before the County Board of Commissioners on the 27th for their review. And then hopefully we'll be attending a groundbreaking here really soon. So.
Okay. Brad, I'll get those to Mike Ladd today, so he has them.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Fun
Thank
with
you.
your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care.
We'll move into the next piece. We have one other guest here still, so we'll get that out of the way. Then we'll move into the police department. Todd Peets is here for our comprehensive land use plan, I believe. So, Mike, can you get us kicked off, and then we'll go from there.
Yep. So once again, trustee approval is going to be needed for the comprehensive land use plan. Zoning Commission has approved the document and was officially sent over to the trustees for consideration on May 3rd of 2021. So it is all entirely in the trustees' hands. Whether you vote on it this meeting or next meeting, it's entirely up to you guys. But Todd is here to explain some of the changes that happened at that zoning, the last zoning meeting as well.
Well, good morning, guys. If you have any questions for me, I'll explain a couple what happened in the zoning meeting and the feedback I got from the people who are on this committee too. So basically at the zoning commission meeting here, let me pull it. Do you want me to share a screen real fast? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
So it might be easier to use this document first, just because of the fact that it's quicker. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so this is the summary of the plan that I've got on the screen right now, and this is for you and the public. It's just the summary, so it's not the full thing. But for what happened at the zoning commission meeting is probably easier to do it this way. So they had there was two changes, but the one major change that you guys shouldn't be aware of is, as this loads up, this is the zoning. Actually, this is the existing land use. Sorry, which I haven't had a chance to show you how user friendly this is, but you can just click around and see the different parcels, the values. We're going to add structure on here, structure size on here too, but that's not the reason why I'm here. I want to show you what the zoning commission did. So here's the zoning. So currently this is the zoning in Brimfield, and we had the skipper group come in. They have this IC district here behind the McDonald's and Speedway, and so they like their IC district. They have plans for their IC district, which includes additional zoning amendments, which again has to come through the zoning commission and back to the trustees before they can do. But when they saw the future land use map, which was really, this is the future land use map, which is really, long term. We have a 2050 plan, so who knows when that's going to happen. Whatever is best for the community, of course. And basically with a future land use map, you kind of just summarize it. So like, we're showing these big areas here in kind of a yellowish color. That is all residential. This is commercial. This is commercial. This is industrial, and this is your town center district, right? So, and the Skipper Group property, which is over here, they said that's IC, and they got really upset that we were showing it as town center, and so there's a big debate over whether it should be IC or not IC. And so the bottom line was the zoning commission approved changing this to IC, as well as this piece of as well as this piece of IC as well for consistency, and then the rest be town center. And that part of that was because of the pleas by the Skipper Group, and the other part of it was, they were concerned about, potential lawsuits. So, I mean, that was really that's really what they discussed. We don't want to go to a lawsuit over this. Just leave it there, and we'll change it if we need to change it, et cetera, et cetera. We want to work with the Skipper Group, absolutely. So, I mean, so that's one of the big changes. The other change that came out of the zoning commission was on the acknowledgement page, which basically I had a person's name wrong. I don't think, I had one of the zoning commission's persons spelled. We flipped the 2 letters in there. And then we don't have your IT director on here. He should be on here. Brian should be on here. So those are just some minor changes. And then I got some additional feedback from Cassie, from Mike, and then also from Chief Mosley. It was only people gave me feedback. And let me see if I can stop share this. And then I'll go to the whole plan now. So I'll share the whole plan. So there was a section on here. Okay, so Mike's comments were two really good questions. One was there was a park that I guess really isn't active yet, but will be. It was missing off the Parks and Recreation list, and so Cassie was kind enough to tell me what the park's name was and also where it was located with the parcel ID information. And then also Mike was, I'm trying to get down to it if I can. Oop, passed it. There's this map here that I showed Mike, and this map,
Right.
Mike's concern was mostly that weren't showing all the historically significant buildings. So this is the one map that I just want to show you before I get down to that section. So this one shows all, this dark color is the buildings that were built before 1900, and then these were built before 1950. And technically this brown color is now in the historic category. So anything where you see these kind of shades of brown are potential historic structures. So
yeah, Todd, after I talked to you, I went back and apparently I had skipped over that one, but that's a pretty informative map. So yeah, that alleviated some of my issues.
Right, but when we spoke to Mike, you mentioned we talked about maybe highlighting areas that are potentially historic and just need to be evaluated. And I mean, I'm okay. What I was going to say is I'm okay changing that map that shows the historic structures and then highlight areas in the township that may qualify or potentially historic, and just add them on there if you want me to. I mean, that's
right, because I'm concerned about possibly doing a little historical district, which I was considering more around town center. But as you look at the map, there's less and less available there for what would be. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you look here, you can see some darks here and some dark spots over here, and one down here. But yeah, it's kind of devoid now.
Yeah, and I know it's not going to really matter, but where Rudy's used to be. I mean, that was the Ludick General Store, but that's right there across from the town hall.
Mm-hmm.
So it just we're running out of left, and across the street, right by Ranfield and 18, there's that old, I think it's the Schumacher farm or whatever, but there's no indication of that there because there's. I guess we just need to blow it up, but this map is very good. After I looked at it, it's very informative.
Okay.
So,
well, and then when in Mike's correspondence to me, you said you have other things you just want to talk to me about. So I was going to meet with him on Monday. Me and Gail, we're going to meet with you on Monday at about 9:30, and you're going to let me know the other things you had concerns with.
Yeah, I've been reading it over again. It really helps me go to sleep at night. But it's. I don't know. I think the more I keep reading it, the more that's a lot to digest.
It is.
And I mean, I'm a lot more comfortable now from when I talked to you.
Okay.
So whether we really have to do that, I don't know. I would like some help on this historical district because I'm not finding information that I need to do this. And I'd like to, next year possibly really get into this before it's too late.
We can do that. We're doing something. I think we're doing something for the city of Ravenna. We got a grant from someone who passed away and left some money to the city, and we had applied for doing this for the city of Ravenna, showing all the historic structures, similar to how we show your summary of your comp plan. Is going to be super user friendly, and basically it's a walking or driving tour of the community. We've been working with Manaway on that, so Mike, maybe we can talk about how we can make that happen. You know,
Right.
It shouldn't be too difficult to do, and there's grants for that kind of stuff too.
Well, that would be great if we could set up a meeting sometime. But I just had one quick question.
Sure.
I know structures can be considered historical, but what about land? You know, because I'm wondering about the town green, which was the original park in Brimfield. Can that be?
Yeah. You can, if you feel it's worth designating whether as a historic event or location, we can do that. You know, just have to tell the story. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, the town green was the first park ever in Brimfield, and that's where the original town hall was and the original bandstand. And now, I mean, technically the gazebo should be considered historical because the top of the gazebo came from the original township bandstand. A lot of people don't know that, but that's where it's from.
That's cool history, though. You know, that's something you would probably want to point out.
I know, and the other thing I was going to tell you, in the cemetery, there's one structure that looks like a garage, but that's actually the original carriage house for the township school buses when they were pulled by horse and buggy.
Wow. See, all this is great information that, you know, typically you don't find out by just doing research online and stuff.
Right. So maybe we can talk sometime, because like I told you, Brimfield, I think, used to have 11 schoolhouses, like I told you. And there's still a few of them around. You know, in fact, across the street from Frank's Ice Cream on the end of Stacks Road, there's one. I just think those should be, you know, there's fewer and fewer people that know about this stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah, no, that's right. I'll be happy to talk to you anytime. And like I said, if we can work this out either, you know, with grant funds, that would be great. You know, there's usually no match to those. There's no match. There's a Ohio Humanities Grant. And so there's usually no match to that. And we could probably easily do it.
okay.
Okay. So there was one more thing about the zoning commission, and this relates back to the chief's comment about projections and stuff like that. So when we did show this to the zoning commission, they really liked the interactive summary of the plan. And the fact that you had, you know, we list out some of the goals, and we list all the goals and objectives actually, and we link it back to the plan. Once this plan is adopted, we'll attach the links to that. But one of the so they want to update this information annually or best data available. And the chief's comment was basically, and I don't disagree with the chief's comment, because I often am very skeptical of some of the population projections. His comment was related to population projections and where we're going. We have all these new developments coming online. We have hundreds of units, and then the population barely goes up. You know, it just doesn't seem like, intuitively, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. I would say intuitively, it surely doesn't make sense. So there's a couple important things. One is the census is coming up, the 2020 census is coming out. So a lot of times what they do is they build projections off the last census. So they're building the projections from the 2010 and how things were in 2010 and the rate of growth in 2010. And they kind of extrapolate that out going forward for the next 10 or 12 years. So when we do these if we update this information annually, the population will be as current as we possibly can have it in the current time frame. The other thing I'll make a comment on with Chief Mosley is the fact that, you know, Portage County was, and there was only 2 counties of the 18 counties in 2010 that grew, and Portage County was one of those 2 counties that grew. It didn't grow by much. We only grew like by 1% or just less than 1% as a county. But the rest of the region is in decline, in some places sharp decline. Mahoning County is really struggling. You know, Summit County is struggling with the loss of population in Akron, and I think they extrapolate that our area is also in decline, and they don't have us growing as fast as we really are. So again, I'm a little, you know, but at the same time, we're using data that's the best data that's available out there. It may not be perfect. Projections, you know, I often talk about projections too, as if I had a crystal ball that worked, I get it right, you know. So sometimes projections can vary because of different things, economic conditions, technology changes, you know, a big plan closes somewhere and all the people move away, you know, you just can't account for those kind of things. So there's a lot of things that go into projections that sometimes throw a big wrench in it. So all I can, you know, the best thing I can do is say we're using data that was provided to us that dealt with projections for this area, and that because the zoning commission wants us updated annually, the data will be current. It won't sit for 7 years, or in this case, the original plan was done in '88. You know, it won't sit for 30+ years. So we'll try to make sure that data is current, and we are rapidly increasing our technology capabilities. And our agency we're on the same floor as the auditor's office with their IT folks. We want to really soup this thing up so that the data to the communities is far superior than it's ever been before. But that's not in the plan. That statement. It's just a goal. So those are the main things. I don't know if anybody else has any comments, questions, concerns.
I don't think so. So I think we're at the point here where we need a motion to accept this comprehensive land use plan. You know, I've read through it. I think it's a great document. I think it helps project us in the right direction. Mike Ladd, can you give a little feedback though on this IC district piece in the town center area, because that is a change more recently that I do have some concerns with potentially, because that is our town center. What's integrated commercial going to look like right on the outskirts of that town center? And I don't get me wrong, I understand the zoning commission's concern with potential lawsuit if we were to make it all town center. But I think it's something that we as a board need to discuss, what the future of our downtown looks like.
Yeah, so, you know, looking at the maps and looking what we did at zoning commission on Thursday night, Todd was trying to explain to the developer that as a whole area, Todd, you could explain a little bit better, but we were grouping together zoning districts and conforming. So the whole area still is going to be the same. Todd, I don't know if you agree with that or not. The whole area coming on this side of the freeway would be considered under like a town center type of atmosphere. That's what we're looking at. Right now, that area is zone integrated commercial along the freeway in 2 spots, as well as there's a highway commercial district in there in between. What the developer was worried about and where he was leaning towards, and I don't know if you've seen that, Nick, at the meeting, but he was very adamant on that becoming a logistics type of atmosphere with trucking and things of that nature. So things that we didn't even want to discuss. You know, as well as I do, the Board of Zoning Appeals, as well as a majority of zoning commission right now, they're not feeling the truck stop in there or anything like that. So we would like to either, you know, keep it the district that it is right now. I mean, this district that's integrated commercial was asked for by the developer, worked with Dick Mesner on the zoning map for that area. Integrated commercial is a hot area. That's what's DeHoff just rezoned all his districts down at Maple Crest to IC just recently. And so we know it's a good district. We know it's a productive district. But this developer up here is telling us that it's not that good of a district and things aren't going so well. I beg to differ, you know, in other areas, and I wouldn't mind keeping it. He asked for it. We give him a TIF on it. I think we should keep it IC for him in the future. The idea is having town center from this side of the freeway all the way over, but I think the IC would be incorporated with that.
You know, I just want to make sure that, you know, the whole idea behind this exercise, this document, was to eliminate or greatly reduce the asks for variances and changes to zoning districts and special conditions to squeeze in the building that you want that doesn't conform with what we're doing, meaning the developer or the builders or whoever. That's the idea behind this. So I just want to make sure if we're going to leave it integrated commercial, that, you know, it's clear to the zoning appeals, it's clear to the zoning commission that this is what the community wanted. It's not what Mike, Sue, and Nick wanted. It's what the community wanted. We went out to the stakeholders, we got information. You know, we're looking for the majority of what people are encouraging, and we're hearing a lot of feedback of, we need this town center district, we need this downtown area. We don't need a trucking center in downtown, because if we put a bunch of logistics companies or one major one with 100, 200 semis right in our town center district next to a fueling station, that's what people see when they come off the highway. That really, I think, starts to break down what is Brimfield Center. And I just have concerns with that.
And I think the IC district fits in, and Todd, you had some great ideas, as we discussed with the zoning commission several times, of the mixed use of having, you know, residential above and retail below, type of Crocker Park atmosphere. And that's why I really didn't want to get rid of that IC district, because there's still hopes of that coming.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, for me, that's what I'd like to see, is that Crocker Park look. I think that'd be a great fit, especially next to Sterling Green. Last thing they want is a trucking company in their backyard, right? I mean, that's just not going to work well for those homeowners. Right. And I get that the developer is in the business to make money. They bought that property, they're looking to make money on it. But let's be honest, how many years have they had that property, had an opportunity to build or sell on it and under integrated commercial or anything else, ask for the variances, and it hasn't moved? I mean, we can't stop our growth to meet their growth. And we as a community have heard very loudly, if we all remember, just think back to Sheets and the apartments, how loud the community was about that, about what they expect their town center to be. And that's my only concern. And I'm okay with it saying IC on there, as long as we're staying in those IC parameters. If we start coming in and asking for, well, now I want a variance to this, variance to that, next thing you know, we have a truck, you know, logistics center, a catchy phrase for a truck stop. Now we have issues, I think. And that's just my opinion.
Right. One thing that's going to be coming to the trustees, and Todd and I talked about, it's going to go to zoning commission next meeting, and then it's coming to trustees after that, is the language throughout the zoning resolution after this comprehensive land use gets planned. Anywhere where there's uses not covered, come before the Board of Zoning Appeals, is going to be changed. And Todd and I have discussed this. We want that to be worded as anything that's not covered in the zoning resolution may come before the board for a variance. But if it's a covered use in the book and it's in a different district, you can't come. So that's what we're looking at. And then
I'd like to see that,
you're going to be voting on.
I'd like to see that piece.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to see that piece fast tracked. I think that's going to help a lot of our issues. Mike Kaczynski, I thought you had something to say there too.
You know, I don't know if, you know, we say they can't, they tell us they can't get a business. I think it's more than that. You know, maybe, I don't know what they charge, but I mean, it seems everybody else is building, and for some reason their parcel, which is probably one of the number one areas in Brimfield, is not growing. So I don't know. I don't know if it's what we're doing is wrong. You know, maybe there's some things the developer needs to, you know, look at within their footprint. So I'm not sure, you know, we've given them the tools, you know.
Yes.
So Mike, I agree with you.
Well, and they've had the toolbox for 15 years and didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yep.
All right, so the ask is before the board currently. I'll make a motion in the positive so we can make any last minute discussions on this, but I will make a motion to approve the comprehensive land use plan for Brimfield Township as presented.
Sue is a second.
All right, Sue seconded. You know, I'm willing to accept it under the recommendation from the zoning commission with the districts, with those changes that you discussed, Todd. But once again, I think it needs to be a strong statement back to the zoning commission, back to the BZA moving forward, that these are the parameters we're working in. There really needs to be a true hardship for variances coming through. I think that's been a resounding echo from our community lately, is that, you know, 3 years ago, there was way too many variances being issued. I think, Matt, glad we've even talked about, you agreed. We need to get back to it. It's a hardship. They need to prove that hardship. And these are the districts that we expect, and they need to work with inside those districts.
Right.
The second piece to that is that I think we need to fast track that language rework. That needs to happen as quickly as possible, related to the zoning districts to help with those variances that we see come in.
And we want to vote.
Any other
ready.
comments from the board?
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right.
And if I could just jump in here, can we finish zoning just from a perspective of notes and all that, the rest of the items that he has just to be done before we switch to cops and come back and forth?
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, so that'll take us yep, Mike, the floor is yours, and then I'll have a couple items there.
Okay, yeah, I'll go quickly. The virtual Board of Zoning Appeals hearing is May 19th at 7 o'clock. That's tonight. We have 2 items on, most of them residential. The next virtual zoning commission meeting is June 10th. That's when we're going to have this item on that we're discussing now with the language changes. Todd, I'll probably be sending you some stuff as well for that meeting. Thank you for approving Hamrick, the enterprise zone. That's an asset to the community. Like I said, we have one more business that we're in talks with, and Mark has some language that I need approved. And then if that's a go, then you'll be getting that one soon at the trustees meeting. Thanks again for the comprehensive land use plan. Thanks to Todd. It was a lot of hard work between all of us in the zoning commission and the trustees. This is a long process. And Nick, this was your foresight when I first came in, and I was hired by you. We discussed this in the interview. So I'm happy to get this going, and it's a living document. We'll do this every year. So we're gonna keep this updated. Zoning commission was interested in working on this every year as well, and keeping up with the changes. Heritage of Brimfield Nursing Home still scheduled to break ground June 1st. Redwood Apartment Homes is continuing to install and grade. Hickory Hills subdivision continues to install utilities. Portage County has hired QCI to oversee the project. This is one of the newer ones that are going to be inspecting the whole roadway and all the drainage and everything. So we shouldn't have issues with that project. The township was notified of an auction. This is kind of important. We had a lot of resident complaints on Old Forge. The township was informed of an auction on June 2nd, 2021. Just so everyone is aware, we contacted the auctioneer and the surveyor, since this is 74+ acre property showing 5 parcels plus. All the parcels shown were not approved by Brimfield Township, nor was it approved through Regional Planning Commission with Todd Peets. I notified the surveyor as well, the auctioneer, and the prosecutor's office in the county that we did not approve those. The parcels he's showing are landlocked, as well as flag-shaped lots, which would need Board of Zoning approval. And they have not done that. They have not submitted. They have not paid any fees. They were very rude on the phone, the auctioneer and the surveyor. Just want to let you guys know there was a lot of choice words that I was surprised hearing from this, coming from a professional atmosphere. So buyer beware. If you're going down there, those are not parceled off. He has it shown as that. I think he wants to auction it as that, but those are not lots. It's one parcel as we speak.
Did the prosecutor's office respond on that? I mean, I just have concerns about this becoming a legal nightmare, both for us and them. I mean, it's just going to be, somebody buys all these flagship lots. Is there a cease and desist order or something that we can issue?
I copied it, Brett, on the email. I have not heard anything. Todd, have you heard anything from that? I know, Todd, you intervened a little bit and sent some emails out, but we haven't heard anything from the prosecutor.
I haven't heard anything from the prosecutor either. We it hasn't come. They sent us a sketch, and that's all it is. And the sketch wasn't nearly suitable to make a determination whether I had access to any other roads. I mean, it was terrible. And so we did play phone tag yesterday with the surveyor, but I haven't talked to him directly yet.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're staying on top of that.
What date is that auction scheduled for?
June 2nd. And we just want to make everybody aware, because there's signs out. advertisement out, and I know thank God for the residents on Old Forge. They've been contacting us, and they've been very, very good. They had a lot of concerns with it because, obviously they live right there too. So, yeah, it's kind of strange. So there's a note that's actually on the auction paperwork that I was given by a resident, and what is it? It says, it's really in small print. It says information is believed to be accurate, but not guaranteed. So, but it's in fine print. You might need a magnifying glass to read that. But
well, you're going to have people buy these lots, and then they're going to be pissed off because they can't build.
Yeah, and they're not actual lots. We didn't parcel it off. They're not even subdivided yet. They're not through zoning or through regional planning. So it was really bizarre.
Who owns the property?
It's an Amish guy. He just recently bought the 74 acres. I spoke to the woman before that owned it, and she's one of them that was calling on Old Forge. She sold it to an Amish man, which just basically cleared the wood. That's all he wanted it for, and he gave it to this auctioneer to get rid of it, and this is what's going on. So
the auctioneer is the one that broke it up?
Yes. Yep. So
hopefully the prosecutor gets back. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I tried to jump on it because it's fraud, so I tried to drop on this right away. And actually the first guy that I was talking to from the auctioneer's office, I believe his name is Kiko. Actually give you his real name, Eugene Kiko. He was arguing with me, telling me zoning approved it. I'm like, I'm the zoning inspector. It wasn't approved. I didn't even get it yet. So very interesting conversation that we had. So anyways, I just want to make everybody aware that's watching, or if you know anybody that's going to the auction, please let them know. And Todd, you're going to handle it, I'm sure, with your emails as well. And hopefully the prosecutor steps in. Moving forward, Maple Crest West was submitted to regional planning for approval. We're currently working on an Aldi's, a Wave Wash, a Valvoline, along with, you've seen the one industrial building today with Hamrick, and then there's one more. Jiffy Lube is approved and construction will begin soon in the Cascade Shopping Center. And then Marcadetti has the abandoned home stuff and the demolition, which you guys made that motion today. I appreciate that. We're just making sure everything's, all the legal stuff's taken care of before we start taking these houses down. Looks like 1435 Talmadge we can move forward pretty quickly with. So, and then the permit fee is $165,911.20. That's our highest recorded year for Brimfield Township, and that concludes the zoning and economic development.
Hey, Mike, real quick. You said all these Wave Wash, Valvoline, and 2 industrial buildings. Was one of those industrial buildings Hamrick?
Yes, that's correct. One of them is Hamrick. Yep.
All right.
And they're all in Maple Crest except for Jiffy Lube, right?
Yes, Jiffy Lube is going into the Cascades, right in front of Beef Varieties.
You're going to make a lot of people happy today announcing the Aldi piece. I've gotten a lot of questions on that, and the answer's always been nothing's officially been submitted yet, but we can now announce that. So I think you're going to be a very favorite person in the township today because of that.
We're hoping we can get some, in another trustee meeting. Dan and I know he didn't mention anything. We are talks with one of the restaurants, and it's a good restaurant. So I'm hoping we can close the door on that one here pretty soon, and we can let you guys know about that one too. So.
Okay. Also under zoning, Mike, I believe we had some board requests that we needed to go to. Board requests to go out to bid for demolition at 1435 Talmadge.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to go out to bid for demolition of 1435 Talmadge Road. Need a second for discussion.
Do you second it?
Sufi?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, Mike, so this is the property. Just give us a recap. I believe that they came before the board and asked for some extensions, and the most recent extension ended in February. Does that sound correct?
That sounds correct. And they did meet with the building department. Building department seemed like they were very adamant. I mean, for the longest time, they kept telling the trustees that they couldn't get a hold of the building department. They didn't know what the issues were. Building department was out there, sent me emails back in December that they went through everything. No permits have been obtained through here or through the county. They're not working on anything. All I see is they actually moved in landscaping business, and they're parking all over the front lawn, turf in the front lawn, and they're chipping things in the driveway. It looks like a commercial business there. It's
Oh, we know
terrible.
we know
Yeah.
it's commercial. You
Yeah.
know, they're violating everything we have.
Yeah, it's so I think, you know, they pretty much ignored everything we discussed in a letter sent and the search warrants, I think. And they just went ahead and moved their business and made it a little bit bigger there. So I would say we should go forward. The house is really, really in bad shape. If you go past it, you don't even need to go in. You can see it from the outside. It's dilapidated.
Which is a shame because it is historical.
Yes.
And so Mike, when we vote on this and we all approve it, so now the owner will get a notice?
He's already got notice. He has notice already for demolition, and we gave him extensions on it, so we don't have to reissue another notice. We're just going to go out for bids and continue on, and then we'll have Mark take care of the rest of it. You know, make sure that there's nobody in the house or anything like that when we go to
Right, because I envision a backhoe showing up and they're tearing the building down and there's someone living in it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right,
now,
roll call for this vote then.
Hey, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
All right, and then we have the second board request is for notice to reissue demolition notices to the following addresses. So I'd like to make a motion for this. To reissue demolition notices to 3156 Congress Lake, 1203 Dora Lee Road, 1145 Howe Road, giving them 30-day notice of demolition. I need a second, then we can discuss that.
I'll second it.
So this one, these people we've already given demolition notices to, but due to COVID and lack of communication and court timing, it was under advisement of legal counsel. We give them an additional 30-day notice for them to respond to us. When we come back in 30 days and reconvene as a board, we then could move forward with the motion to go out to bid for demolition on those properties also. But this is just an additional legal step that we need to take.
That's correct.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Yes.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
And
Nick?
then lastly,
ahead.
I have one more under zoning, subdivision regulation update. Mike Ladd and I attended a meeting a couple weeks ago with the county about the subdivision regulations. Mike, when is the county reconvening to vote on those?
I believe it's the 1st of June. I believe, I don't have that date in front of me, but it's the first week of June.
So we have another about week and a half if we want to make any changes. However, the county prosecutor has reached out to Mark Guidetti for Deemer Associates, our legal team, on this process, asking the Board of Trustees to entertain a motion to take back their public information request. We sent a public information request to the county asking for documents based upon County Engineer Mickey Marazzi's statement that in 2 cases in which bonds were issued, the county was burned on the financial funding and the county had to eat the cost of the road pieces. We asked for that public information request 6+ weeks ago. No, it was back in March. The county has still not fulfilled that. The county did ask at the meeting 2 weeks ago, or a week ago when I was there with Mike Ladd, that if we would remove our public information request if they passed a motion allowing the bonds to be put back into the subdivision regulations. My answer was, yeah, because that settles our concern. However, they tabled the motion that night. So it has not been a done deal. The county does not want to produce the documents. So Deemer and Associates is looking for advice from us as the board. Do we want to continue to push forward and require them to meet the public information request? Or do we just pull it back and assume that they're going to follow through on their word that was stated at that meeting. My concern is when we've asked for it, they haven't been able to produce it. They've tried to find multiple ways to get out of it. Their first response was our request was too broad. So we narrowed it a little bit. At that point, they said, well, fine, we'll meet your request, but we're just going to send basically boxes of documents, sort through them yourself. So then we enacted the fact that the county prosecutor works for us still too by Ohio law so that they could sort through it. And at that point, they just stopped communicating about the issue. Mickey Marazzi's response at that meeting a week and a half ago was, I didn't know anything about it. I don't know how he doesn't know when we've asked for this information back in March.
That's an internal.
But it's up to the board.
Pass around the right way. We send it to the right person.
Right.
When's their next meeting that they supposedly will be able to approve?
Well, if they approve it, they can approve it. They're just approving a recommendation of on May 1st or June 1st or June 2nd, but then it's got to go to regional planning and get approved too, based on the commissioner's recommendation. So just because the commissioners approve it doesn't mean regional planning then has to approve it. My concern is we don't stop with the issue until it's a done deal, because it could get changed to regional planning also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Our legal advice was to continue pushing forward with the public information request, because obviously they're not able to supply the documentation is their concern.
Are they trying to hide something from us? Once again?
Well, we don't know until we get our public information request filled. But, you know, I was asked by the legal counsel to bring it before the board at the request of the county prosecutor's office.
Well, since we have excellent attorneys to advise us, in my opinion, I think we should go with what we're being advised by our legal counsels.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you want me to
All right.
resend the email with a little bit more stress on it?
So I think we just, it needs to go back to Mark Gadetti, and he needs to, because he's been having conversations with Chris Maduri. And that's where the request came from, Chris and Dave something. There's a new attorney over there. But he just needs to reiterate, no, we still want the public information request.
So on the email that I sent originally asking for it, should I just resend that email and ask for what public information is?
I would resend that to Mark, because Mark has been using your email plus additional communications, so he has a paper trail of multiple asks.
Well, I'll talk to Mark before I send anything.
Okay. All right, that's all I had under zoning then. I just wanted to make sure that we discussed that in open meeting today.
Well, didn't we want to approve the subdivision regulations? Was there a motion going to be made for that?
No, not yet.
All right,
There's nothing that we really need. Yeah, there's nothing we need to approve. We can just send opinions, which is what Mike Ladd's been doing.
Okay, I just misunderstood that. Okay.
All right. That'll move us to police department. Sorry for the delay, Roy, but the floor is yours now. Busy morning.
Yeah, good morning. No, that's no problem. Thanks. Enjoyed hearing some of the updates on the zoning and building stuff. That's good to hear for the community. Just a couple of items for you guys this morning. Wanted to follow up. I know we had some initial discussion over a period of time regarding safety school. I sent a communication to you guys as a board yesterday, kind of walking through, some of the factors we're looking at right now. And based on some of those factors we've got right now, my recommendation is going to be that we not do a full safety school this year. But in discussions with our staff, I think we have come up what we think might be a happy medium for 2021, which would be a discussion or a recommendation on doing what we call a safety day, which would be kind of a bit of a scaled back program, but we would partner with a few local schools to do that with our SRO also coordinating that. And we could kind of hit some of the meat and potatoes of that program without necessarily doing the full week program. And the variables that we're really looking at this year is really budget and staffing. Our overtime is up significantly to 21 over 20. And those are some variables that I really have to take a hard look at as we kind of examine doing this year. But if we went to a safety day program in partnership with a few local schools, I think that gives us a couple of things we might be able to accomplish and touch on that we might not otherwise be able to do. And that would allow us to touch on all the first graders this year that weren't able to go through the program last year. We would be able to touch that group of students through this type of partnership with a safety day. And it also would allow us to touch every single kindergarten student. Normally, this program is limited to about 50. And normally there's about 150 kids that are eligible to register for kindergarten, give or take. So this would allow us to touch all of them rather than capping that at a group of 50. And it just puts us on a much better footing from that budget and staffing perspective. And this could be I think a good interim solution for 2021. And then we could get back on track really for the full thing for 2022 and probably having that coordinated through Cassie and Parks. So that's my recommendation to you today. I know we had some initial discussions on that, but I had a chance to talk with some of our staff, and we think this could be a good workaround for 2021. We would just need to reach out to field local schools for that partnership.
Hey, Roy.
Yes, sir.
Just because we've done something year after year after year, if you see a more effective means of getting in contact with these kids, maybe sometime you need to re-examine. Just because we've done it forever doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, sure, and I agree, Mike. And this is a really fun program to do, but
I know it's fun. But
there's a lot of heavy lift. There's a lot of heavy lifting that goes on associated with that, and just again, given those two factors really this year that are unique for 21, and with the staffing and budget issue this year, because that's about a $3,000 cost that's associated with a lot of materials and equipment that we get for that, and we rely largely on donations for that. And with the last year plus with the COVID shutdown, we really haven't brought in much in the way of those donations to help fund that. So, but as we brainstormed this and talked about it, some of the ideas are brought forward, and I think it's a really good idea that's worth exploring. Is hey, maybe a partnership with the schools for like a safety day, where we could come into the schools with some fire and police for either over a full day or 2 half days, and we could kind of hit the meat and potatoes part of that, but still give all those kids a chance to touch that. I think it could be a good interim solution for this year. That's just our initial thoughts from brainstorming it.
Right. And Roy, not to disagree with you, but I mean, even next year, unfortunately, your labor issues are never going to subside because you're getting nothing but busier and busier, and you have limited manpower. And I mean, whatever you do has to be for the greater good, and you understand that.
Sure.
I mean, I wish we had a magic button that could get you more help, but you can't. I mean, you're doing a great job with what little you have.
I think my thought was, I ideally, we've the police department's branded this for a while in partnership with the fire department. And it's gone well over the years. We just ran into a couple of curveballs. Really, COVID was a big highlight of that, and a couple of curveballs we hit this year. But I think next year, perhaps a viable alternative with this would be letting Cassie play a role in this in Parks and kind of maybe taking the lead with police and fire, partnering with her. So we kind of have that partnership, but facilitated through Cassie with Parks and Recreation. That's just that would be my recommendation going forward as we look into next year on it.
Yeah. Well, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah.
Spock.
So just to follow up, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nick. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I really like this idea. It's sad that we can't do it this year. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of factors. We're all still recovering from the COVID piece. But I'm actually excited about the potential of partnering with the school. That's been a big piece for me. I think we've done that well, trying to bring the township and the school together on special projects. I think it just makes our community stronger. So I'd be very supportive of the idea of trying to do a safety day or 2 safety half days with the school and even bringing that forward with their board. I think it's a great idea. It's outside the box thinking, and that's what we need right now.
Well, I think we'll go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I just think you cover more people that way. I mean, granted, there's some parents that can't get their kids in safety school.
Well, yeah, it's usually capped at 50, and usually there's around 150 or so registrants for that for kindergarten. So you're already scaling that back on the front end, and that's not always an easy thing to do. But I think I could certainly do a reach out to the school system as we look into the fall and see if we can facilitate something with them in a partnership. I'd certainly be willing to spearhead that to see if we can put something together with them. I think it could be, like I said, could be a good workaround for sure.
I think we need to, if we are going to do this, we need to get that communication sooner than later with the school board, at least getting those initial talks. Because a lot of families are asking, they're trying to plan for what they're going to do.
Sure.
So if we're going to do something, just to put their minds at ease of what's coming, maybe no guaranteed dates, but hey, we've had the conversation. This is the game plan moving forward. It makes the pill a little easier to swallow.
Sure. Yeah, I can certainly facilitate that reach out and see where it goes from there. Okay. Just appreciate the feedback on that. I just wanted to give you guys an update on that piece as a board. The second item, I attached a copy of that report. I put together it's a Brimfield Police Department service survey. This is kind of just started doing this a month ago. If you had a chance to take a look at that, basically what we're doing as a department is kind of looking over each month, kind of randomly picking incident reports that have been filed, and we're randomly making selections of about 10 or 12 of those and sending out a police department survey to those folks, just kind of getting feedback on their interaction with our department, the service we provided, and any recommendations or feedback they have for us. It's just a very informal feedback mechanism, and they can just literally scan a QR code on that. When they get that, they can take it on their smartphone. If they don't have a smartphone, there's a short link they can punch into an internet server. So it's a good feedback mechanism for us as an agency to garner the feedback from the folks we have interactions with. And I just wanted to share that with you. If we come out and take a report from you, you could potentially get one of those in the mail as a follow-up. But I just wanted to make you aware of that we just put into place last month. What the return rate will be on that, we'll monitor going forward. Some folks may get that and not want to take the time to do that. Other folks might. But I wanted to put a mechanism in place for that feedback. I just wanted to share that with you.
Roy, are you gonna pass along to us on a quarterly basis or the results of your surveys?
Yeah, I can, or probably maybe semi-annual or even annual. Again, I'm just gonna really wait and see what the feedback's gonna be on that. If we send out 10 a month and maybe I get 2 responses, maybe 3, maybe none, that's gonna be very random on that. But given the number we're putting out, I could maybe potentially just put together an annual or incorporate that in our annual report. Actually, could be another mechanism. But again, just wanted to share that with you as an FYI this morning. The last item I have is we've got a couple of candidates we're looking at to potentially bring on a part-time basis. They've had their interviews with our sergeants group, and we'll take a look going forward on that. The point I want to emphasize with that, with you guys as a board, and I really can't emphasize it enough, and I think you're already aware of this, but law enforcement, not just locally, but also across the state of Ohio and across the country, is really in the midst of a recruitment and retention issue that's very significant. And that's been going on really for quite some time. Getting qualified folks to come in to the profession right now, the numbers of people that are applying are down, and they are down considerably. So we're looking at, instead of going from a group like this, we're looking at a group like this, and it's not unique to us. It's happening everywhere. So that's going to be an ongoing challenge for us. And as if we're able to bring on perhaps a part-time officer, with the number of agencies that are losing officers to retirements, there's a lot of departments that are putting on full-time staff. I would not anticipate being able to keep that officer on board for a long-term basis. It would be stopgap until he or she probably found a full-time opportunity. Ideally, if we were able to bring one of these individuals on board, I would love to bring them up to full-time status going into 2022 with us if they're working out for us as a part-time officer. But that's going to be contingent on our ability to fund that going forward. But I don't really need part-time. I frankly need full-time. But this is what we can do now from a budget standpoint. But if we're able to bring one of these folks on board, and given what our planning process is going to be going forward for the police department, I would really love to be able to bring that person on board full-time. But just want to make you aware of kind of the situation we're at as far as the recruitment intention. Again, I think you're aware of that to a degree, but it's front and center.
Hey, Roy, has any consideration been given to, as we look for full-timers, if we can expand forces in the future, of bringing people on without the academy and putting them through the academy to expand our pool of people, of catching them fresh and entering them into some type of contract of retention post-academy, to give you a better selection?
That raises some secondary issues, and that's really, I'll be honest with you, that really comes down to the funding mechanism. Can I afford to pay somebody for 3 months, 3 or 4 months time that's in an academy that's not working for us? I got to be honest with you, Nick, from a funding perspective, that's just not feasible for us. I don't know too many departments in our area, in our county, that do that. I believe Streetsboro, Kent, Aurora, Ravenna, I think they all require the academy under your belt before you can come on board. It's a great idea. But from a funding perspective and a practicality perspective, I don't think it's feasible for an agency like ourselves and the Ravennas and the Streetsboros, et cetera, to be able to do that.
Okay.
But those are the couple items I had for you this morning, unless you have any other questions for me.
I don't have anything else. Sue or Mike?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you for your report.
Thank you, Nick.
Fire Department, Craig, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, just a couple updates here. I wanted to thank everybody for coming for Trevor Bacher's swear-in. It was nice the other night. We were able to do that for one of our newest employees, and he's 3 days in, but he's doing well in his 3 days.
Exactly.
So that's all I can say right now. with that being said, we will also, our firefighter test that we had given, that we pulled the last few candidates off of, will expire, and we will do a new test here on June 8th. Again, with adding forces right now, we're going to try to pull probably 2 off that list in the next year to 2 years off that. I'm expecting to have 30 to 40 people sit as usual, and we should already have a lot of good candidates that came in. So I'm excited about that. Pre-bid meeting for fire station admin building will be next Wednesday at 2 p.m. I'm saying that I don't need any trustees there, but we will have that pre-bid meeting. So things are starting to move forward with that. So that's just an update for you. Any questions on those 3 things?
Nope.
Okay. That's really all I have with the fire department right now. Moving into administration. We had been reached out to by Tom Nader, who helps or runs the field youth soccer program. And his question was, when we get the soccer fields up and running, are they allowed to, and Nick, jump in here if I'm wrong on this, are they allowed to sell spots for signs that help sponsor some of the youth programs? And I guess my thought is on that I don't care how they make some money on that, but those signs would only be put up for that specific season of the soccer.
So yeah, I can elaborate. So Nader is the president of the Field Youth Soccer Association. They've started this year a sponsorship program where businesses can buy in at different levels. A basic level allows you to put your name on the back of the t-shirts of the kids that are playing soccer, all the way up to what they call field sponsorships. The field sponsorship is they would get a sign of said size. Township could determine that for our fields. School, same thing, where they would deploy a sign with that business's name for the soccer season. So it would go at our soccer fields and it would say ABC Manufacturing, a field sponsored by ABC Manufacturing, and that would sit up at the field there for the season. And that helps offset the cost of the additional things that the field youth soccer group's trying to offer. Keeping fees low for kids to play because it's pay to play. Bringing in additional coaching opportunities. They brought in a foot skills clinic, a goalkeeper clinic, just trying to create more opportunities for the kids to be involved in the sports and engaged, but it's costly. So they're looking for potential funding. But if they were to do that, they wanted to check with us first to see if the board was okay with it and any restrictions we want to put on any signage that would be deployed at those fields for the season. So there'd be a fall season and a spring season. So it'd be twice a year during that period of, we'll call it 12 weeks approximately we play, that there would be signs at the fields. So when the spectators came and saw, they'd see who sponsored it for the soccer. So that's where we're kind of standing.
What kind of signs are they? Are they just stick in the ground signs, or are they? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that they said really we can define the specifications. So it could be like stick in the ground. We're not looking to, set posts. I don't think they want to put 4x4s up and stuff like that. But a sign large enough that you could see the name of the company that sponsored the field there.
I think if I could jump in there, and we all know this, but they can't zip tie to the fence behind. That's the schools. So that's their property. And 2, we would have to have a designated area because the road department is not going to want to mow around 50 signs.
Well, I think all the signs should be the same size. You don't.
But I will throw in there. So sponsorship for my boys who are over in Rootstown right now, but was $500. So I mean, if they can offset some of that cost for t-shirts and stuff like that, I get it. I get why they would want to do it.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, are you going to be able to sponsor a team? I mean, could a business sponsor a team?
Yeah, so those are going to be the options. The entry level is, hey, you can sponsor a team, and that's where you get your name on the back of the shirts. So like I say, the ABC Manufacturing on the back of t-shirts, all the way up to larger sponsorships for companies that may want to make that and I don't know the pricing. I haven't seen that from Nader yet. Maybe it's $500 or $1,000, and you get your name on the field for the year, kind of that premier level. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of companies sponsoring it, but I think we could designate the sign size, the sign location, and then it has to say, you know, Field Youth Soccer on the bottom of it. So there's no affiliation to the township per se, but just giving them a designated spot to deploy those during soccer season. Kind of like you see at the Akron Arrows.
Right,
If you go see a baseball, they have the different company signs up. We're trying to do something similar like that. I think it's a good sell for local businesses too, to advertise.
Well, let him know I'm interested, so.
Well,
Okay.
I am as well. I just need to see the membership page if they have it out there.
Yeah, this is going to be new. I think the goal right now is to deploy this for fall ball, because we're in spring play right now. So we have summer to prepare for fall. So this is brand new to the Field Youth Soccer Association. They've never done this before. Nader's really trying to expand the program, because there's a lot of kids involved in getting and playing soccer now. It's becoming a pretty big up and coming sport.
Soccer is such a great sport. And I'm glad to see it now in our town center, you know?
Right. So the question being is would the board be okay with that? He just needs an okay from us so that he can put the marketing materials together.
You gonna put a motion on the floor? Or?
So I'll make a motion to approve Field Youth Soccer to deploy business signs, size to be determined by the Parks Department during each season, to be removed at the end of each season.
I'll second that.
Cassie, would you be comfortable with us having you work with Tom to set the guidelines, just making them parks rules where you could determine that in your rules, the size of the sign and any logistics?
Yep. Yeah, I can do that.
Is there any questions from the board on that, or any feedback from anybody? Dave, any concerns you have?
Just the amount of signs, and make sure mowing around them. I mean, most of them we might have to weed eat, you know what I mean? So it's going to add time to the mowing factor of it.
If we keep them in a straight line where you can zip around them and then just weed eat around a couple of them, then would that be okay that way then, instead of sporadically putting them everywhere?
Yeah, if you got them scattered everywhere, that's where it causes a major problem. So if you have them all in a straight line and stuff, it'd make it a lot quicker.
What if they would make a just one big board where they could put the signs up on it? I agree with Dave. It could be a pain. You know what? I'm just throwing it out. Craig, what do you think? You know, like a big board you'd have at a football game or something?
Well, what I want to do with this down there, and this is a simple idea, but I want to put a shooting board up anyways, where they can kick the ball against the board, it bounces back to them. So if we wanted to maybe put up a shooting board and then add, I don't know, 2 more 4x8 sheet areas for signs to be stapled up on, might be a good idea also.
Hey, Craig, you know, just an idea I just had. If we put that shooting board up, maybe we allow them to put the sponsorships up on the shooting board around the goal area. So you have the blacked out area where the goal is, and then you have the goal post, and you have extra board.
Honestly,
around the borders of that.
That might be easier. So you take your yard signs, your election sign, you know, that size, and then they get stapled up and they can be pulled off at the end of the year.
Right.
And then they can shoot at the name they don't like.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I think that works good.
So a couple ideas. Let's see how many they even get, or what their idea is.
But right now the motion is to allow them to do it so they can start marketing that.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. The only other thing I have is we need to start talking about mask compliance from what we've seen with the governor came out, and I will also go straight into, I have reached out to a couple other fire departments. I've reached out to the hospital to kind of get what they're doing right now with the anticipation of this changing as it comes out / the June 2nd deadline. What I'm hearing from most other fire departments is they have backed off on the mask wearing compliance within the station, driving the vehicles, but they are still requiring the mask compliance on EMS calls. With that being said, the hospitals are still requiring the mask compliance. There is a meeting with UH Portage this afternoon to talk about this, and they may change as this moves forward. But right now, I think the recommendation is that I will still require it on EMS calls and stores that require it. Okay, now have discussion on it.
So I think we need to discuss first, before we even do that, just overall, what is going to be our stance as of today, because the governor's office, the Ohio Department of Health, issued a letter yesterday removing the requirement for facial coverings in any building if you are fully vaccinated. Any unvaccinated person must still wear a facial covering. Are we at the stage that we feel comfortable removing the requirement for facial coverings on our properties, or do we want to keep those into effect? That's the first question we need to answer as a board. Thoughts?
I have no problem with removing the mandate.
I mean, it just keeps us in line with CDC requirements.
Right, right. But I mean, so we're going to rely on people that aren't vaccinated to be wearing the mask, right?
There's got to be self-responsibility that they make that decision to wear a mask.
We can't be the mask police.
Right. No, and that's not what I'm advocating for. I just say we make a motion for facial coverings on all township properties to follow CDC guidelines. And that's just where we leave it. I mean, I'm not asking us to ask people to see their vaccination records. We just leave it up to a personal choice for following those CDC guidelines. And that opens up the parks events and makes it easier.
So if you want to wear your mask, you can. You can wear it
Right.
if you want to.
Correct.
And if you don't want to, well, that's your consequence. Okay.
I know it's all just so confusing. I mean, as a business, we're still in limbo. I don't know what to do.
Right. Well, because then there's a second piece to this. On June 2nd, all the other health orders go away if nothing changes before June 2nd, which means currently right now we still have to continue the daily health checks, the logging of all that paperwork for all of our staff members until June 2nd. Everything else has to stay in place until then.
I can't hear. Who's talking?
Sorry, it's my.
We're good.
Hey, Nick, I'm sorry, I had stepped away briefly. So the discussion was right now whether or not if someone walks, for example, into the lobby of the police department, do they have to have a mask on or not? Is that, I missed the front of that. Is that where you're at?
Yep, we need to start there and then work down to department levels what we want to do with the mask mandates.
Okay.
June 2nd, it's going to go away anyways. I don't know if it's easier for us just to wait till June 2nd. What's another 2 weeks, in my opinion, because then that gets rid of a lot of the confusion, I want to say, because there is a lot of gray area with this most recent health order. It almost puts it back onto the property owners to be responsible for those that are unvaccinated, the way they wrote the health order. All health orders go away June 2nd, according to the governor's announcement. So I don't know if the departments feel comfortable waiting until then. What's another 2 weeks, I guess, is far into this as we are. Yes, Craig.
Yeah, I'll comment on that. I honestly, I really like that because this is going to change for the next 5 days. It's going to be 5 different stories. I mean, if we just leave it the same for another week and a half, what's it matter?
Yep.
Right. So, and that goes with our policy that's already in place. We said we're going to follow, our health orders would change with the local health department. So there's no motion that's needed then regarding mask mandates. We still continue following all the orders that are in place by Portage County Health. We continue wearing facial coverings, when we're having meetings or wherever, people come into our buildings. And then on June 2nd, that will change unless the governor's office and the health department does not rescind that order.
Sounds like an idea.
Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
So I just ask that all departments, I know it's a pain, but we're in the final stretch of this. We can just continue our health monitoring for another week and a half. Just keep your logs up so that we have that paperwork to back us in case we get an audit of some sort from either the health department or the public employment risk reduction program, because OSHA and PERF have both now adopted a COVID standard too. So we just need to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was easy to fix then.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, after you said that, I mean, just leave it alone for 2 weeks. It's going to change 5 times in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So, yeah. All right. That's all I had on admin. So
then that brings us into, on admin, we also had the in-person meetings. Right now, we have a resolution on the floor that we did all of our meetings virtually. Are we ready to resume on June 2nd? That is our next meeting, a in-person meeting that would allow public to attend, along with having trustees and all department heads in attendance.
So we would need all vaccinated, right? Public
Well, if you are
employees?
not vaccinated, so on June 2nd, all the health orders go, supposedly.
Okay.
So let's talk perfect world. Health orders are rescinded on June 2nd. Therefore, when we have our trustee meeting, according to CDC guidelines, if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a facial covering. But the social distancing, the temperature checking, all those other occupancy limits, all would go away on June 2nd, which means we could meet at the community center, sit in our normal formation that we had before, the 2 long tables, sitting next to each other, without facial coverings if you were vaccinated. And then public
Okay.
could sit in the opening. That is a possibility, barring nothing happens between now and June 2nd with the health orders.
And we're ready down there for all that IT wise.
So we had that meeting last Friday. We had an administration meeting with all the different departments. IT was present, and they said they are ready to go for that. There's some changes, obviously, they'd like to make as we move forward. We need to get some acoustic panels up there to help with sound reflections. But for all intents and purposes, we could meet tomorrow there, and they could make it work. There's obviously going to be a couple of hiccups as we go, and there's going to be some changes we need to make. But they are ready for it. In fact, Brian had that ready to go before he was out on leave, just in case we needed to while he was gone.
Well, that's good.
So the question is, do we want to do that now, or do we want to wait till June 2nd, have another virtual meeting, see what the status of the health orders is, and make the change then?
I think as much as I want to get back in person, maybe let's wait till June 2nd.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's so fluid right now. And like
I
any
think
motion,
that would
it's as
be
good as the
wait till
next
June
motion,
2nd.
so.
Okay. So we'll plan on one more virtual meeting. We'll put it back on the agenda. So we're going to table it for today. We'll put it back on the agenda at the June 2nd meeting to make sure that all the health orders go through. And then moving forward, we would start the in-person meetings potentially at that point.
Okay, sounds good, Nick.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay, that's admin. So that takes us down to road department.
You had
Dave, the road floor is yours.
hold on, Nick. You had another item.
Oh, what did I have on there?
Internship.
Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you. Internships. So Craig and I met with Kent State University. We want to talk about a couple unique opportunities that have presented themselves. So we're looking for unique ways to bring in staffing to fill needs as needed, but in a cost-effective way. So Craig had this idea to reach out to Kent State, put the meeting together for him and I, and they have an internship program and some capstone programs. So I just want departments to be thinking about this. If you need help in an area, and they said that this could work for Parks and Rec, this could work for zoning and economic development, it could work for IT, possibly fire sciences, police sciences, any of those things, anywhere there's a degree at, they have students and they can set up an internship program. We write the job description of what we want the intern to do. We set the pay range. Typically right now, pay range is $12 to $17 an hour for an intern for a paid internship. They'd work anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week, whatever we set it at. We would work with that university's dean. So let's call it the IT university. We'd talk to the information technologies dean. They would take that job description and put a post out on an app called Handshake. Handshake is like LinkedIn, but for college students to find internships. They would post that. We would get a slew of candidates for us to interview, and then we would select who would come work for us for 1 year internship through the university. So it gives us a local student, flexibility in their scheduling, real life experience for them, but gets us somebody to fill in those spots that we just need an extra hand 10 hours a week to get something done. Filing paperwork, writing programs, if it was IT, pulling cables, if it was parks, helping out with an event, whatever it is. we get to bring those interns in and create an intern program where we every year then, because they do a 1-year internship, we rotate that and catch the new incoming sophomore, freshman, junior, senior class, whatever we chose to work with. So that's one option that they put out there for us. They are very interested. We explained our Parks part-time position. They're very interested in potential internship there. And we also talked a little bit about information technology. They have 2 pieces that they were very interested in potentially partnering with us on that. The second thing they offered, they said, hey, if you have specific needs, because we were talking about cybersecurity and a couple other programs, they said if you have specific projects that you need to work on, maybe you need a new database at the police department for something, maybe want a cybersecurity program, their seniors need capstone projects. So they'll come work for us at no cost because it's their final project for graduation, and they'll build that program for us, get graded on it, and then we keep the material. So it costs us nothing. So as we have capstone project ideas, she said to share those with the university, and they will tie us in with the professor that's running that class, and we can build these projects where we're getting the work and we're not paying for it because the student's getting a grade out of it. And it's helping them get real life experience for when they graduate. So it builds a really cool network between Brimfield Township and Kent State and giving students an opportunity for experience. And it's building a good relationship between us and the university and just creating an opportunity in our communities. So that's where it kind of stands. They said if we want to move forward with this, what we need from us is job descriptions and expectations. Get it over to them, and then they'll get it posted. We could possibly get something for the summer. We'd be on a tight deadline to make that happen because I know we're looking at some parks pieces right now. But fall time would definitely be a go if there was any fall interns that we were looking for. Just an option that's out there. I'm always looking for unique ways that we can get involved. And the good thing is that we get to test these people for a year too. It might be something that we end up keeping them full time in the future because of expansions, and we got a year out of them during that internship. So that's kind of my pitch for it. I just wanted to get a feedback from department heads and board members of what they thought about this opportunity that we've been presented with at Kent State.
Yeah, I think we ought to embrace this. I mean, with a university with up to 20,000 people, I mean, my God, think of the labor we could get from that, and the inspiration and the ideas from these young kids. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, I mean, you know, with Cassie's great direction, I mean, hell, we could bring that kids golfing league back, which was such a big piece. And, you know, we always had the limitations when it came to labor. You understood that. So I mean, we're nuts not to embrace this.
I knew labor was always an issue for us, and finding unique ways to do this at a cost-effective way, because now we're not paying benefits, we're not paying, you know, all that goes out the door because they're just an intern. It's just a unique way. And one of the questions I had, especially with IT, was, all right, you know, I have security concerns, especially related with the police department. How much involvement can we have there? Their cybersecurity division is actually working on projects for the Department of Defense and building pieces for them. So there is some security pieces they're working on, and they're working to get credentialing for certain students that may become interns for us too, because they're working on those DoD projects. So, you know, we did take that into consideration too. I knew that might be a concern. We also expressed anybody that works for us has to go through a full background investigation before we would take them on as an intern.
Hey, Nick, just for some personal experience, my daughter had to get an internship for her program, and she said there wasn't she couldn't find a lot of places for internships. So who knows, this might really, we help Kent State along helping ourselves. You know?
Yeah, no, they seemed very excited in the meeting about the opportunity to be able to get some internship opportunities, because that's what the kids are missing when they graduate. You know, they got a degree, they got book skills, right? But we all know book skills and real life skills are 2 totally different things. Sometimes we have to throw out the book when we actually get in the field. So this gives them that opportunity.
A lot of these degrees are based on you getting an internship. Like my daughter can't graduate with hers till she's up at Cedar Point for 3 months. So,
right.
I mean, we're filling a need for them.
If we're interested in this program, just department heads, if you want to just email me your interest, and I could be in contact with the contacts I brought in. So
do we have to put a letter from the trustees to Kent State?
No, what we need to do is, once we identify the department heads that want to work with internships, we'll write intern job descriptions. And then that would come before the board. We'd pass a resolution to accept the job description. Doesn't mean we're filling them. It just puts them into that queue of job descriptions that we can fill, like our front desk secretary. It's not filled right now. We don't plan to fill it currently, but the job description still exists. And then when we're ready to move forward, we'd make a motion to fill that internship, send the job description over to Kent State, and they would start the advertising process for us. And then we'd start interviewing.
Wow, that's great.
Good idea.
So any other questions on that? Because this was a big meeting we had and I was pretty excited for it. I think it creates some really good opportunities.
It sure does.
Sounds good to me.
All right. All right. That's all I had on the internships. Craig, thank you for putting that meeting together for me too. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And honestly, I didn't know what to anticipate when we first went into it, but I think you saw with the people we sat with, they're very forward thinking on what they could do for us also. So, and I would encourage even zoning, Mike. They have programs for people like that. So, if you're interested, let me know.
All right, that'll bring us into road department.
All right, here we go. I just want to let everybody know that the county commissioners are going to accept passing the road on to us of Maple Crest Parkway over there off of 18. They're voting on it tomorrow, and then more likely it'll be our road after their votes tomorrow. So we'll end up starting to maintain that roadway. I need trustees a resolution to move forward with the OPWC Round 36 Cascade Resurfacing Project for 2022. It's the project that we get through the OPWC grant every year. The price of the project is estimated at $280,000, which 140 would be us and 140,000 would be OPWC grant. There's other roads I wanted to do, but they didn't meet the criteria, but this road has met the criteria very well. And we want to catch it before it gets too bad. We're looking at doing the same thing like Sugar Maple. We're going to have mill downs, complete mill outs to fix worse spots. We're going to put the layer chip and seal down, then 1.5 inches of asphalt on top of that like we did Sugar Maple. To make the road more sturdy for it doesn't do the crack, it reflects the cracks off. So, and then there'll be all new, when I talked to the county, we've been looking at Mike Collins and everything, there'd be all kinds of new signages and arrows and stuff painted on the thing. We're gonna fix that all up and get it up to snuff where it should be to help people figure out how to drive through Cascades better. So.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the OPWC grant application submission.
I will second that. I think it's a good plan.
There's that, and that actually they did the 11,000 cars a day is an average on that road.
7,000?
11,000.
11,000. Wow.
Yeah, so and that's on a 2-day check, and they average 11,000 cars a day. So kind of want to catch it before it goes completely to, starts blowing apart, and then we'll have a really big mess with that amount of cars.
So if we accept it, when do you start? So we would be maintaining it right away then, right? Once you accept it?
We got 2 different things out here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we accept that road no matter what. We can't, that's
right,
on the Maple Crest side. We're talking on Cascades right now. We already maintain that. What the motion on the floor is a 2022 update of that road because it has 11,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
So we need a roll call on that OPWC grant.
And all those in favor of accepting the OPWC Round 36 Cascades Resurfacing Project? Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed. Can we, I want another motion back there for accepting the Maple Crest property, the one that we just talked, the road. I know it's going to the county, but I have paperwork I need to do as well. So can we accept the Maple Crest Parkway pending Portage County's approval?
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the Maple Crest roadway pending county commissioner approval.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed. Thank you.
This is a classic example. Real quick, I just want to jump in here about the subdivision regulations. We're asking that we in the future have the right to sign off on the acceptance of those roads. Right now, we have to take it. Even if the county even if we disagreed with that road, the county commissioners sign it, we're done. There's nothing we get. We're asking the subdivision regulations that we get a voice in that.
Correct.
Well, you're still dealing with one personality over there that doesn't see the way we see.
Right. But that's why I'm bringing it up and I keep pushing on it, because we need the right, because we just spent over $200,000 on Sugar Maple because we had to take a road that we didn't want.
Right, and I mean, that's why having OmniPro or whoever inspecting them, you know, Dave's doing the right thing by what he does.
Right. All right, Dave, back to you.
All righty. I just want to let the trustees know I'm moving forward to hiring a part-timer. His name is Thomas Weiss. That's after he gets his drug test, background test, and all that. He's just graduating high school and would start about the second week of June and work until about August until he goes back to college. So we're looking at starting somebody because we need a hand with a little bit of flagging and that kind of stuff right away. So.
Okay.
Nope.
All righty.
Is it Weiss or Weesey?
Weiss. I think I'm saying it right.
We're hiring Tom Weesey to come in and work on a road crew department.
I know, that makes me sort of wonder.
No, I've already talked with, he's a very well-educated young man and stuff, so he seems like he'll work hard for us. So.
Okay.
Deal.
Hey, well, I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve Dave's recommendation to hire Tom Weiss as a part-time employee.
I'll second that.
Can you spell his last name, Mike, or Dave?
Yeah, it's Weesse.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
yes,
Okay, motion passed. Can you make sure, Dave, you get all that stuff to Kirsten when he first comes in? Okay.
Yes, well, he's like I said, we'll get the drug test and background test and all that beforehand. So
Okay.
Okay. The only other thing I got for you right now is we've been working on the cemetery, cleaning up, you know, getting ready for foundations, cleaning up grave sites, straightening the cemetery up and getting that all ready to go. And we've been doing a little work on the soccer field at the same time. So right now we're pretty much concentrated in the cemetery and the soccer fields.
Great.
Dave, I wanted to ask you too, there's some flowers from the Boy Scout cell back by the garage at the cemetery. And I just wondered if your guys were gonna plant those. They were sort of.
I'll have to see. I'm not sure where all they planted flowers last week.
Well, they did the big red star. It really looks nice. They did a great job on that, and they cleaned up all around the pond, and that was good too. So you got a good crew there.
Now, if there's flowers, we'll find a place to stick them.
Okay.
We won't just let them die off and throw them off to the sides. All righty, and that concludes my report.
Hey, Dave, I just wanted to remind you about the fencing around the playground equipment as that's coming towards a close with the improvements to it. I just want to make sure we get that put in when that project's done. I know you guys have a lot on their hands, but if we can remember to get that fencing put in as soon as that project's done or close to it, I'd appreciate it.
We actually have all the stuff here for that right now to put the post in, and I mean, I'll have to rent a drill. We'll see if we can use our drill we have here, but we might have to use the drill to put a few posts just to get it past the playground. So we'll be all right.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. That'll move us into Parks and Rec.
All right. Speaking of the playground, I have updates. The installation began on May 6th, and Meyer Design, Ken from Meyer Design, has been really great on including me on all aspects of this project. I've gone out several times to approve of positioning of certain things and changes that they're making. One slight change that was made was a part that they had ordered, which is a hand-over-hand rail, kind of like a monkey bar type thing. They ordered it and it was facing the wrong direction. It was supposed to be left facing and it was right facing, which slightly altered the design of the playground. So we had to add a little bit more border and more mulch. So we actually received a $400 refund for that because it was the incorrect part. And so it still looks really great. It was just a slight change they had to make. Update on the Pet Safe Dog Park grant. I submitted my application on May 14th. We should hear back, I believe, I have it written down somewhere, but I believe end of June. Let me see. June 30th is the deadline. July 16th, we will get notification of finalists. And if we are chosen as a finalist, there will be a social media campaign to get communities to vote for their community. And we should hear, voting for that will end on August 31st, and the winner should be announced September 2nd. So I wrote that on my calendar. I will be eagerly awaiting to hear back about that. The volleyball court, I kind of took a pause on that for a minute. I need to talk with Dave because we were kind of reevaluating. My initial plan was to purchase new poles and nets for both courts. After looking at that piece, I mean, everything is more expensive than it has been in the past, and it was a little beyond the budget that I was considering. So we're going to look at keeping the poles that we already have. The poles themselves look like they're in decent shape. Some of them are just leaning. So if we were able to save those, that would significantly save on cost, and we would be able to put in the new nets and redo the sand and get them ready for summer. Parks events. On May 8th, Saturday, May 8th, we had the Sioux Fields cleanup event and also the Park Spring cleanup event. My portion of it went very well. I had 3 members of the advisory committee show up, and they were able to, I had 2 members go up to Cranberry Creek, and I stayed with 1 at Lions Park. We were able to hand out flyers to people about upcoming parks events. We had, I believe, 8 volunteers come and pick up trash, and we were able to remove 13 contractor-sized bags of garbage from our parks, which was really cool, the majority of that being at Cranberry Creek. So we were able to get all that litter from the bottom of the hill and in the ditches and things like that. So great job for everybody and great opportunity to meet the community. I had a few members give me their contact information because they're interested in volunteering for the parks in the future. So great. I love being able to do in-person programs again so I can make those connections. Moving on to new business.
Cassie, along with that, we had dumpsters supplied and we picked up some scrap, not as much as what I thought. It was cold that day, but we did get some scrap, and we also got some trash, and we just appreciate everybody that did participate. Few of the people said, well, we'll do this again next year. And one gentleman brought in 3 pickup truckloads from his house of stuff he wanted to get rid of. He was happy. So we're just, thank you for that opportunity.
I think that's a great service that we offer to our community. I got a lot of phone calls about it. So I would be happy to continue that program again with you next year, Sue.
Thank you.
And next year I'll bring hot chocolate too. New business, I would like to bring to the board discussion of hiring a part-time year-round parks assistant. I have included a proposed job description in Dropbox. This has been something I started here in February of 2019, and looking back in my documents, I started drafting this position in May of 2019. From the moment I started here, I knew this was something that would eventually happen. And as we increase our program numbers, our community events, it's becoming an increasing need in my department for my safety, for the safety of our participants during programs, and to just increase the quantity and quality of the programs that we provide.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's long overdue, but I mean, you're young and you're learning, and our program's young, and we're all learning. So I think it's a good step forward. So I would like to make that motion. I just need we'll need a second. Now, you do have a wage or a dollar amount that you're going to consider for the first year?
Yes. John and I sat down and discussed this. So this is within my budget. In previous years, we had allocated $10,000 to renovations of the community center. This is kind of a remnant of the budget from the previous years. Now that the community center is basically self-sustaining, we do not need $10,000 in renovations every year. So the wage that we were looking at was between $9 and $11 an hour, probably $10 an hour, which would come out to $10,400 a year. And then considering that if we were to hire this person this year, obviously the year would be at least half over by that point. So we would not be, we'd be doing about half of that.
Wanted to add go ahead.
Well, I'll second this just so we can get it on the floor for official discussion.
Well, what we need to put out there though is that we're accepting the job description because we do not have a part-time parks job description. So Mike, that needs to be your motion if you're good.
That will be my motion.
Okay. And I'll second that to accept the parks job description. With the pay though, John, I think we got to talk about that for a second. Remember, we moved away from this between this and this pay range. Every job description now has to have a set start and a set top. So we'll need to take because we can't say, hey, we're going to hire you between 9 and 11, and then we'll just guess when somebody comes in. All job descriptions, the game plan going forward was, this is the start. This is just what we do. We start you here, and there's a 5-step process. This is the max you'll ever make in that position. When we get into this, well, between 9 and 11, how do we determine who gets what? And it's a mess. So we just need to get that. If this gets approved, it then needs to go back to that document that I created, and we need to plug it into that document. And then she'll have to budget in the future for those upgrades in costs too, that when they happen.
We'll match that job description to the categories that we did. And then we'll
have to create a new category because this pay won't be in any of those category ranges.
Right,
so we'll create a part-time parks category, just like we'll probably create an intern category here in the near future for that document.
And
so
Cassie,
we'll get that set and come back to you guys for approval on that if you're good with that.
Right, but Cassie, as an employer, I just that $9 is just so low. I would almost consider at least $11. I mean, I don't know. The park and rec market more than I do, but I don't think I wouldn't have anyone walk in the door for $9.
The difference between.
Also, I just want to interject in case, so much goes on up here that part-time people are not eligible for any fringe benefits that full-time people get.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. The cost difference between $10 an hour and $11 an hour is about $1,000 a year. So it probably wouldn't be too big of an ask to bump that up to $11 an hour.
Well, and we're in a different marketplace now with everybody offering $15 to work at McDonald's. I mean, that's.
Well, but we got to be careful because our other job descriptions, this job being a part-time piece can't supersede the pay ranges we have for other employees here. That's just going to cause an issue too. So, we can't have our secretaries making the same as a part-time park person. Right. I mean, that just doesn't make sense financially, and it's not going to do well for company morale.
Well, the union contract at the road crew union, we'll just look it up later. We need to figure out what that amount is. But then we have a part-time non-union police front desk person. So we need to look at both of those because I don't know, did we ever make that same job scale for the part-time PD?
No, PD is still, I need to work with Roy on that. We're going to create those job categories. Remember, we had tabled that because we have some people that are grandfathered in that process right now. So we just got to work the language that, because obviously we don't want to downgrade anybody that currently works here. So there would be a grandfather stipulation for those that are currently employed and then new job categories moving forward.
Okay. Well, we'll look at all that when we're doing it, just to kind of make sure we don't undercut somebody over at the police department that's been here for 5 years.
Yeah, just so we can get this job description together so she could start advertising and see what comes in.
Well, why don't we make the accept the job description pending pay rate?
Right. And then she can tidy that up with you.
Right. And then we'll bring it back to the next meeting with that scale. In the meantime, she can start getting ready to look for people.
Yeah. Right. Well, she could still put out something to start advertising and,
Right.
and then, just to say, I'm anxious to see what, how it would be.
Well, we can come up with something like that in the next few days and be out there. We don't have to wait 2 weeks to get her started again. Is that okay with
Sounds
you guys?
good.
Nick, you seconded that. Are you okay
Cassie?
with that?
Yeah.
Cassie, you're
But
okay with that?
Yes.
But the pay rate's going to have to come before the board.
Yes.
Okay.
So even
So
if you and
Nick and
Kathy
I-
agree on it, that pay rate still needs to come before the
Oh,
board for
100%.
approval.
Yep, I don't have any
Right.
approval with that. So yeah, I'd have to come back to you guys. I just want to look at the 2 other part-time positions and just create that scale that we already have. Before,
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
I just,
And
just
we'll
so-
talk, John.
okay.
Just so Sue knows, because she won't be there next time. I just want to make sure she's good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so we
roll
just-
call to accept the job description. There's no pay rate at this point. This is just to accept the job description.
Move to accept the part-time parks employee job description pending pay and pending pay rate.
Determination.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Now, I'd like to make a suggestion before we go any further. I would suggest that we take this same job description and make a motion today to accept a second job description of Parks and Rec internship. So we already have it there. Doesn't mean we're filling these spots, but it's the exact same job description you have as the part-time piece.
Oh,
You
that's
just
a
change
good
the word
idea.
from part-time to intern, because if you don't get a lot of applicants for part-time, we already have the description ready to go over to Kent State and move forward with the internship.
I think once she gets it done, we ought to send it over there anyhow. Nick and Sue,
Sure.
if we could get another person to help her, I think it's all the better for our parks.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at it either way, but this way, and just because we have the job descriptions doesn't mean we're filling them all. We just have them in our arsenal of when we want to execute it. We already have it created in its official document.
Right, because everybody has to come back to the board to get approved for hiring people here. So
Correct.
not final until you guys accept the actual employee that's coming into that spot.
How do you feel about that, Cassie?
I like that idea. As soon as you brought up the internship, I was writing down all kinds of different projects that I would like for an intern. So yeah, I would be definitely interested in doing that in the future. So doing that now would be a good idea.
Right. I mean, Kent is known as the tree city. I'd sure like to have Brimfield known as parks and green space. I just think, we have such an opportunity to develop these parks. I mean, we got a board that believes in parks, so I think we need to just embrace it, and we can't embrace it unless we have more manpower and women power.
Right.
We have
Well,
what?
and nothing.
We have 72 acres of parks.
100, I believe.
Oh, it's increased. Okay.
And then if we
And-
include the new park that Portage County has down on Howe Road, I mean, we got a lot of green space that people just don't know about.
And nothing against part-timers, but I just think that the internship gives us some flexibility options here, especially with creativity. You bring somebody new in each year, and what I recommend though is you could get a part-time or a intern is that they develop a work order for how they do things. So if you need help with running a league, they already got a manual on how to do it. The new intern comes in, already has the paperwork in front of them. They just add their own flair to it. So even though there's turnover every year, you have standard operating procedures in place.
Yeah,
Yep, I
I've
think-
actually already started writing those. That was as soon as I started thinking about this position, I started writing down, what their daily tasks would be, checklists for all of our procedures, checking buildings, checking rec fields, checking the trails, that kind of thing, just to have standard operating procedures throughout.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so we're going to move to accept the township internship job description pending pay rate determination. Is that, I need
Correct.
a,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right. And I will say that Kent State University produces some pretty good graduates. So I'd be really interested to see who comes from there. So, all right. And then moving on, I would like to discuss the Community Day event. It's the working title. This would be the fall event we were discussing for September in lieu of a Brimfest type festival. So I had a very productive meeting with the Historical Society on the 12th. They were very happy to meet with us. They were very happy to kind of rebuild the bridge between us because they felt like there had maybe been some tension in the past. So they're excited to work with us on this opportunity. They have expressed interest in letting us use their property for whatever we would like to do as far as setting up tents, porta potties, that type of thing. And I have a big list of things. I will skim over it for you, but a few of the things we had discussed for this event would be a movie night, a concert, dunk tank. They talked about the fire department and the police department possibly selling sausages or hot dogs or some sort of fundraising thing like they would do at Brimfest. Kids entertainment and all kinds of things were thrown out. Pancake breakfast was an idea. So what I would like to propose is that we hold a community event on the dates that we had discussed were Friday, September 10th and Saturday, September 11th in partnership with the Brimfield Historical Society.
So, I mean, we'll consider it Brimfest, what do you call it, 1.0 or 2.0 or?
Well, I think we're going to give it a different name, but basically, yes, it's just a temporary hold for Brimfest, and it's a good dry run of what it's going to be like to shut down that road over there. So, Roy, we might have to work with you guys on that because I know you guys understand that a little more, but we're going to need to shut down Kelso Drive for 2 days.
We're talking about this event kind of replacing Brimfest. Is that the thought, at least for this year?
Just this year, so we can try it on a smaller scale, see how well it runs, and then Brimfest would move to that road next year, so it'd be even bigger on that road the following year. But this just gives us a good dry run without getting too crazy. Plus, the fields aren't ready for amusement park equipment to go on those fields. We need to let them settle for a year from all the work.
Okay, so Nick and Cassie, just so we're gonna use the part of Kelso next to the soccer fields, or just the part up by Pizza Hut? Because at one time I had the road up by Pizza Hut closed, and we used that for the Brimfest and with the Kelso house. So
the idea is we want to be net by the soccer fields because that's where the water and electric would be for the food vendors. Okay. So we would run that whole strip all the way from 43 all the way down. So we would close it off at 43 and run it down to Sterling Green, close it off. And that gives us more area than we probably need, but that gives us area to work with.
Okay, good.
Well, and then if we're working in coordination with the Kelso house, we need to close that up to 43 and we can use their property as well.
Yeah. Well, and part of the discussion too, and this is just me tossing out ideas before we get a motion on the floor to accept the event, is maybe like a car show or something at Kelso house. If we could pull that off and people could walk down for food, having some bands there. But the biggest piece, I think the number one thing that needs to happen if this gets approved today is, Cassie, you've got to get 2, 3, if not 4 food vendors lined up in the next 2 weeks, because they're going to get booked out, especially with health orders getting rescinded in Ohio. We got to get them locked in now, because that's going to be a staple of this event. You got to have the food there. I mean, that's what people are coming for: carny food and good music. Those are the 2 big things. Everything else we can work around.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to bring this before the board now, so I can start looking now.
Okay.
So I'd like to make
Go ahead.
We might as well get the motion on the floor. I'd like to make a motion to hold Brimfield Community Days on Friday, September 10th and Saturday, September 11th, in replacement of Brimfest for 2021.
Okay, I'll second that for discussion. Just so we somehow have some words in there about Brimfest, so people know it's not dead and we're just carrying it on due to everything. But the other thing I'm wondering, which is always such a big piece of this, is the fireworks. I mean, everyone loves the fireworks. I mean, do we as a board consider paying for it ourselves this year, or I don't know?
Well, the issue with fireworks, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, is that we usually launch them from the old soccer field, right? So we don't have a good launching point for safety reasons.
Right, we lost.
Well, Craig,
lost
could it be used somehow?
Say that again, Mike.
Can the field be used somehow? I mean, I don't want to stop fireworks because of the soccer field.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the soccer field. It has to do with the street fair would be too close to shoot off.
Oh, okay. So is there?
Can't we work with the elementary school to use their baseball fields in the back?
It'll probably be too close.
So
we would well, I hate to say this, but we'd need to, there is one property that could potentially be it. It's up for sale right now back there behind Sterling Green. But I don't know if that's too close to 76 to launch.
I was just say, before I answer any of that, I have to look at the code.
Well, yeah, well, why don't you look in and give us some potential sites?
Right.
That would be good.
I think your best potential site, honestly, off the top of my head, is Edson Road Park Fields, the backfield.
Oh, wow. That would be good view.
That's probably your best.
Oh. Yeah. But is that the same expressway problem though?
I'd have to look. It probably doesn't. I don't know. I just have to look. There has to be a surrounding area for fallout, for broken shells and stuff like that. So
okay,
go ahead, Mike.
Check into that, Craig. Check into that and maybe bring it back to us next meeting.
All right. Just understand that before Chamber paid for all that, and I think they were 10,000.
10,000? I thought it was like $7,500 or something.
I'm just saying.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
They haven't responded to be involved in this at all, so don't count on them for this part.
Was the thought that this was the thought that this would? Yeah, I'm sorry. We're talking about the Friday and Saturday. Are you thinking this maybe being like a starting like on a Friday late afternoon, evening, and then running during the day on Saturday? Is that the thought?
Yeah.
So the idea was tentative schedule from what I've heard from Cassie and Craig as we talked behind the scenes on putting this together. Friday afternoon, evening, it starts. Even if there's a football game, people can come down and get food, listen to music through the evening till like 10 p.m. or whatever. Saturday morning, we kick off with our annual pancake breakfast for the veterans at the fire station or somewhere near there, and then go into afternoon events and evening events into Saturday, and then be done. Nothing on Sunday.
Okay.
This way, because the other big piece, and I think Craig would agree, is that we don't want to lose that veteran breakfast. That's a big thing we do for our community. We want to honor those veterans, and if we can continue that pancake breakfast, I think that's important. If we got construction going, maybe we'll put some tents up over at soccer fields to do it. We'll find some way to get pancakes going, but that's a really big event, and I think it's really good that we do it.
And I thought a pancake breakfast might be good from the Methodist Church. They have the kitchen, a big area and everything there.
Yeah,
well, we'd like to be able to do it on the property though with the firefighters. So I think if we can just do it at the fields, even if we got to do it under tents, that's fine. We just, we want to have it at the, as soon as you're done, you're already there and you're seeing all the wares and.
Hey, Sue, Craig has all those propane grills that we use, so we can really move.
Oh, that would work. Okay, we're in good shape. We got it covered.
And I don't mind doing the pancakes and stuff again. So
okay, I'll help you. I'll be there
as long as I got some people that help me flip, not flip me off, but help me flip pancakes.
I can't be there.
We'll cover both ends. It's okay.
Okay, it'll be covered.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to officially accept doing Brimfield Community Days, and in the marketing, obviously, we'll cover the Brimfest and marketing pieces with this. But Brimfield Community Days on September 10th and 11th. Roll call for acceptance of the event.
Yeah, all those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
And Cassie, you're still going to do the Fall Harvest Festival.
Mike did.
Yeah, Mike second.
Okay.
We're still going to do Fall Harvest Festival in October, right?
Yes, that's going to chiefly be the responsibility of the Brimfield Advisory Committee, Parks Advisory Committee. They're taking over a lot of the planning for that, of course, bringing it to me for approval. But we were looking at I think it was the 16th of October for that. So that would give me a month in between to plan.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't, because we were calling this fall. So I just wanted to make sure we still have both of those going.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else from Parks and Rec today?
Just the last item I had is the Brimfield Parks Advisory Committee will be meeting tomorrow at the park. Yay, we're finally meeting at the park at 6:30 p.m. I even asked them to come a little bit early to walk the trails with me if they would like, just so that everybody could get a better feel for the park. And I'm excited for that.
All right.
And that is all.
All right. Cemetery, nothing there unless Sue, you had something you wanted to talk about at all?
Oh, just an FYI, Rochelle and I, we've been working, getting everything in line for this columbarium and working with Kevin and the cement man and Dave and all that. But when I get back from vacation, Rochelle and I will have a full report for you and up to date. So don't forget, Memorial Day service is coming up on Memorial Day at 11 o'clock at the cemetery.
Yep. I plan on being down there. I think it'll be a great event as usual.
That's all.
All right. Fiscal office, no old business, employee handbook proposal. Do we finally have good news, John?
Yeah, we do. Roy and I met with via Zoom or conference call with Ryan Spitzer. He works at Zushin and Rich, which is the attorney firm that the police department uses. Ryan actually went through and he met exactly what Roy and I were looking for. He went through our employee handbook with what our ideas were and what we needed to be updated. He thought it was going to take him 14 to 16 hours to complete our document and make our new 2021 employee handbook with all the new updates that we want. The cost is going to run between $3,000 and $3,500 to complete that process. I would like the board to make a resolution to proceed with that. I feel real comfortable with Ryan's capabilities. He seemed real on top of everything, and Roy can add to that as well. But my only reasons for holding back before were our current relationship that we had. And we still have it with our attorney that we work with, but they were just so far behind on stuff and we weren't getting anywhere. So we're just gonna want to proceed with them to complete our handbook. Well, complete the 2021 revisions to our handbook to make sure we're compliant. So Roy,
I'll make oh, go ahead, Roy.
Oh yeah, I'll just echo kind of what John said. I think Ryan has an understanding of what we're looking at and what our needs are. And he'll put that initial draft together, of course, and that'll come back to us to all review. And then we'll make any adjustment or amendments after that initial review takes place. But yeah, I'll just echo what John said. I think Ryan's in front of it, and he can kind of take this, put it at the front of the deck as opposed to at the back of the deck. And that's certainly nothing against the relationships that we have, with Attorney Beck's office at all. And Ryan understood that as well.
Correct.
So is he going to go through this, make sure to add any additional policies that we're missing on top of revisions to what's currently there?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's my big concern, is I think we might be missing some key policies here and there.
Yeah, and they've done this for several. He does this. This is the work they do. They've done this for several public entities, including townships. So he's familiar with the waters we're wading in. So we'll all get a chance, obviously, we'll all be able to walk through that initial review and then go from there. But it's at the front of the deck for them.
Yeah,
and he does
social options of how we social Facebook, all those kind of things. He's going to update all of that to the current language.
My other big concern with that is just making sure that the language fits an HR policy for administration employees, not union employees. Like if you look at the disciplinary process, it's very contractual, where that's not what we have with our at-will employees. So just making sure that, there's some additional loopholes that I don't think necessarily need to be there. Well, yeah, hopefully he's looking at this from an admin standpoint.
Yeah, okay. He is. He understands we've got the concept of the collective bargaining agreements tied in with the non-union personnel. He's very cognizant of that piece up front. He's going to review all of the CBAs as well as part of that review. So, and again, that initial draft will come back for everyone, for the board and for the department heads to do initial reviews on and go from there. It's not just going to be, hey, I'm done with this, put it in front of you and leave. I think there'll be a follow-up process to make sure it's what we need.
Well, and what we did bring up with Ryan is that we wanted to make a determination in that manual, non-employee or non-union employees versus, he's got to put a statement out there that kind of clarifies all that, how it affects their contract, what's covered if it's not covered in their contract. He's going to have a whole section on that. That was, we
Okay.
spent 5 minutes or so just talking about that.
Well, and another section we might want to add to this, John, I'm working with somebody right now, so I'll get information over to you once I have a better understanding of it. But it's come to light more recently, just with COVID and some other things, having a true employee assistance program. So I'm looking at, there's a company that I know outside of here that I've had some talks with that I want to bring to the board about having a real employee assistance program for staff, because we ran into an issue where we could have really used it recently. And we don't have a traditional employee assistance program for mental health and other pieces. So we might need to tie that into the manual also.
Okay. Yep.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the employee manual revisions at a cost not to exceed $3,500.
With Zushin and Rich Law firm. Throw that.
Yes, with Justin and Rich Law.
I'll second that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I needed. And then up to $3,500. If for whatever reason, some of the new stuff that we add in there, that's an hourly rate, we'll come back if it's over 3,500. If we have to add additional time based on additional things we're adding, but we'll bring that back to the board.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
The motion passed. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from fiscal office?
No, that's it.
All right. Anything for the good of the order?
Yes, I would like to make a closing statement here. For the past 20 weeks, I have worked with Betsy Justice from Kent State University. We've implemented a program. Hold on, I'll throw it away. We've implemented a Love Light program. We were serving 60 children a week and supplying them a grocery bag full of 7 snacks and 7 suppers. And since school was out, I've canceled that program because Field School is now giving breakfast and lunch all summer long. I didn't want to duplicate, and I need a break. But it was a successful pilot program, and I appreciate working with Kent State, and we had a good rapport going there with us. So that's all.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you. No, that's awesome. Great job on that, Sue. Thank you so much. Anything else for the good of the order?
I think we got
Not,
a
I'll
lot done.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the second.
Hey, all those in favor to move to adjourn at 10:28 a.m. Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
All right, we are out at 10:28.